So there was a meeting with the communist Mandani, who tried his best to convince us that he wasn't a communist, but just wanted communism by robbing the population of a 20 million city. Here is the meeting with the one he called a racist, fascist, killer of little children, hater of minorities, oppressor and hater of women, and a homophobe. Whatever that means, the communist came to the racist fascist and asked for money. Racist fascists, give me money. Not that much. The fascist congratulated the communist on his victory, and they had a heart-to-heart talk.
We spoke very clearly about some things in our commentary, about housing, its construction, and about food and prices, and the price of oil is dropping sharply. Everything I do will be good for New York. If I can lower prices, that's good for New York. And we've brought them down much slower than last year. As you know, I've told many people, Walmart said that this Thanksgiving is exactly 25% smaller than last year. That's good for New York and everyone, communist. Stood by the president's table and listened to how much Trump has done for the country and for New York City. But I just want to congratulate. I think hopefully you'll have a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I'll be, I'll say. No, there's no party difference. There's no difference in anything. And we will help him so that everyone's dream comes true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
I appreciated meeting with the president, and as he said, it was productive and focused on the place we both value, Mr. Mayor. The company ensures accessibility for New York's 8.5 million residents who struggle to afford life in America's most expensive city. We talked about rent, we talked about groceries, we talked about utilities, we talked about different ways people are being pushed out, and I appreciated the time with the president. I appreciated our conversation.
I look forward to working together to ensure accessibility for New Yorkers. Everything is great so far. We want the same things. Lower prices, life, higher safety, a better life. Who honestly doesn't want that? And the question, of course, is simple. How do we do that? And here, I'm afraid, the fascist and the communists differ somewhat in their opinions. The press had questions, of course.
You called Mr. Mamdani a communist. Why?
And will you do anything to prevent him from arresting Prime Minister Netanyahu if he comes to New York? Well, we haven't discussed the second part of your question. So that's the first part. Well, he has some rather unusual views, but who knows? We'll see what works or if he changes as well. We all change. I've changed a lot. A lot has changed since I took office. That was quite a while ago. It's been a long time. And my first term was great. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. Now we're doing even better. Now we're doing much better than we did even in the first term. And I'll tell you, some of my views have changed. We discussed a few things. I won't say exactly what, but I'm very confident he'll do a great job. I think he will, in my opinion, he'll surprise some conservatives.
In my opinion, Mandani honestly told Trump quietly in his ear when no one could hear that he wasn't going to do anything he promised the voters at all. That is absolutely nothing at all.
Discussion. But just a few days ago, you called President Trump a despot who betrayed the country. You said you would be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Do you plan to retract those remarks to improve your relationship?
The reporters are doing a great job. I think they're from the New York Post or maybe the Washington Post. Maybe I misheard. So, Mr. Mayor, do you still consider Trump a racist?
Haha, I think both President Trump and I understand our positions and views very clearly. And what I really appreciate about the president is that our meeting, it focused not just on disagreements, but on our shared goal of serving New York. This could impact 8.5 million people facing a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And at the meeting, it was discussed again and again how to help these New Yorkers get out of need and give them a city where they could not just struggle to survive, but truly live. And
here, Trump showed that he is Trump. He doesn't avoid tough issues. Why whisper behind someone's back? That's not his style, not his position, not his manner. to lift the visor and dot the I's, the U's, and everything else that needs to be dotted. I think this moment, for me personally, taught me a lot.
I've been called worse than a despot, so it's not that offensive. I think he'll change his mind once we work together.
You threatened to send federal troops to New York. Do you both have disagreements about immigration and customs enforcement agents in New York? Mr. N. Mamdani, you called Immigration and Customs Enforcement an illegal agency. I'm curious, how do you reconcile your differences on both of these issues?
I think we'll work it out with them, and I think that if we have, I think it's important. That it's very important. New York Consejero, sí, extreme prefer, Lisa Dame, adequate. Filming, we want to remove them. I think he wants to remove them, maybe even more than I do, so we'll work together. We discussed this in great detail.
The fact that Mamdanis was standing nearby and nodding his head shows that he was shouting, "War to those who come to our streets to catch New Yorkers." Suddenly, he completely agrees that criminals should be caught and deported. So why was he shouting then? Why else, ladies and gentlemen, so that idiots would vote for him?
As we reported, President Trump met today at the White House with New York's mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani and said he was surprised by how much he agreed with the self-proclaimed Democratic Socialist. We're joined by Columbia Broadcasting System News political director Finn Gomez. Finn, I enjoyed your conversation with Major. Yesterday, the White House called Mamdani a communist.
Mamdani called President Trump a fascist. Today, they appear to have reached agreement. What unites them, and why did Trump find Mamdani so impressive? I think, to put it in one phrase, game recognizes game, right? That's two political players who respect each other's abilities. Although they strongly disagree on many issues, I think there are some parallels. Obviously, both are New Yorkers, both are connected to Queens, both are outsider candidates, anti-establishment populists who caused two major political upheavals by challenging their respective establishments, their party establishments. You know, before this meeting, there was hope that common sense would prevail and they would find common ground, as you said, on the issue that both of them campaigned on and won. Of course, it's a matter of affordability, the most important issue, as you know, in New York. And they also represent an important political faction, and that's working class voters. So you saw it, you saw it and you saw it. It could have gone in many directions. It could have gone sideways. But instead, they found common ground on this issue, I think, because of their love for New York. But all of this, however, Lindsay, could seriously hinder the Republicans' strategy in the House of Representatives. Of course, they tried before the midterm elections to present Mamdani as, the main face, the symbol of the Democratic Party, if you will. He was even asked about the comments made by Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, a close ally of Trump who is running for governor of New York, who called Mamdani a jihadist. Trump basically refuted this, calling Mamdani a very rational person. And he also said that he would be comfortable living in New York with Mamdani as mayor. Well, after this meeting, you start to wonder if the Republicans in the House of Representatives might need to reconsider their strategy a bit. But it was a very interesting meeting with a fascinating photo session in the Oval Office. And the last thing I really want to emphasize is that New York depends on billions of federal dollars, yes, for infrastructure grants and other issues. So I think it's possible. It's part of Mamdani's strategy. It's part of Trump's tactics to, go where they can make a deal for a common goal. And I think it's a wonderful warming of political relations, which were extremely hostile just a few weeks ago. Here,
By the way, I completely disagree with him. Mamdani did not become a friend or ally of Trump. Trump calls Putin a cool guy. Do you think he really considers Putin a cool guy? Trump calls North Korea's Kim Jong-un a wise leader. He calls China's Xi a wise leader and a friend, saying they understand each other well. And he called Mamdani, I think, almost a comrade. He said something like that. But as for building communism, Trump wouldn't do that. Not in New York, not in Washington. He has absolutely no intention of doing that, and moreover, he won't even try to help build it. So, what did the city and the federal authorities agree on? Yes, well, actually, the city, the state, and the federal authorities have a lot of common tasks. The first thing is to help with construction. The federal authorities will help build 200,000 units, affordable housing units in New York. This is what all the leaders, all the mayors of cities have done and are doing, and it's the same in New York. So the federal authorities help with funding when it comes to affordable housing, and there's a ministry that handles this. So, well, okay, agreed. Second, the federal authorities have nothing to do with freezing rent payments. It's not that they didn't agree on it. I'm just saying they have nothing to do with it. And Mamdani is going to freeze it for a year for 2 million families, as he said. With 2 million apartments there, they probably don't live in houses. In a year, the city council will decide again whether to extend it or not. But this has absolutely nothing to do with Trump, with Washington, with the federal government, none at all. This is a local matter. A lot of property owners will start losing profits, naturally. And if not in a year, then in 5 years for sure. The living conditions in these buildings will significantly deteriorate. What I mean is, by the end of Mamdani's term as mayor, yes. Third, the feds still haven't agreed to unfreeze the $18 billion for improving the city's infrastructure. Naturally, New York City is leading. Trump is afraid that the money will be diverted to other projects, and of course he's right because, well, it definitely will be. But they agreed to talk about it. We will continue to talk about it. Okay, so you agreed that you didn't agree? Fourth, Trump managed to increase the presence of the National Guard. He would have done it from Mamdani anyway, but so to speak, they formally agreed, which is good. And the feds will subsidize it, which means they'll be in charge of fighting crime in the city. So Mamdani's promise to take money from the police and give it to the social services department, well, it just didn't work out. Not at all. What they agreed on doesn't match up with that at all. Federal grants remain limited, just like Trump said, including grants for healthcare training, for retraining, so it's called employment, but in reality it's retraining. Trump is sure that the money will go to illegal immigrants, and of course he's right. Mamdani insists on sanctuary city status for illegal immigrants. So Trump claims that raids and immigration checks will happen no matter what the city or comrade mayor says or does. So once again, they agreed that they haven't agreed on anything. So they agreed that we're two good guys and ready to smile at each other in the press a lot and often. And I think that's all. So I'm trying to understand now. Does that mean Trump definitely won't give any money for the buses? Yeah, I see. So he won't give any money for free food in stores or for subsidized food so they can compete with supermarkets. I mean Trump. Well, Trump the feds, yeah. So Trump won't give any money for illegals for their education, living expenses, or health care. I mean, he just won't give it. He's trying to catch them. Mamdani himself can't raise taxes in the city. The state governor won't allow taxes to be raised. So without the governor, well, without the state, you can't raise taxes in the city. Otherwise, she simply won't be reelected in November. Even if she really wanted to raise taxes, she still wouldn't do it, because she'll be up for re-election in November. The mayor can borrow money, yes, of course. I wanted to say he can't, but actually he can borrow money. But there are some things to consider. So in order to issue municipal bonds and offer them to investors and the public. So if these are small local projects, you can do it without the state. But if they are large major projects, you definitely need to get the state's permission for this, for issuing bonds. Given the upcoming gubernatorial elections, it's doubtful the state would grant such permission. So Mamdani leaves with a sincere expression of respect and admiration. Regarding his inner beauty, maybe his looks too, I'm not sure. But now no one can say that Zakran failed because of Trump. Trump is ready to promise him anything, everything, later, someday, when we come to an agreement. But of course, only if he gives up his communist nonsense. And if he does give it up, we can even accept him into Make America Great Again if he puts on the cap. Who does he bother? Actually, he's a rather cute little anti-Semite. Who does he bother? Well, he really wants to live well, and he learned how to work the crowd, that's all. He learned how to work the crowd. We could even send him as an ambassador to Somalia, together with Ilkan Abdullah Ammar. She already has 2 husbands. One of them is her brother. So those husbands. So why wasn't Mamdani her 3rd husband? But before that, we'll cut the reproductive organs. Or, the tubes, so God forbid they have offspring. Can you imagine that? Yeah. Their child together. Oh my God. On that lively note, we'll say goodbye to you. But before we go, we absolutely have to say that you shouldn't forget to subscribe. Or check if you're subscribed or not, because if you're not subscribed, you need to subscribe. If you're subscribed, check if you've hit the bell or not. If not, make sure to hit it, so you get notifications about our videos on time. Of course, good luck. Informative and, from my point of view, entertaining. At least, yes, when I record them, I have fun. Goodbye.